Hey folks, Dreadshells here, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're going to be looking at a game that I had in my SP1C on Fjords. And if you've been paying attention to the last few videos that I've been releasing on the channel, you'll notice that I'm releasing a lot of SP1C games, and that's because I've been playing a ton of games in the SP1C. My initial reaction to the SP1C was that I didn't like it at all because it has really mediocre. Actually, no, not mediocre, downright terrible top speed for a scout at 58 kilometers an hour for a tier 7 scout. And the horsepower to ton ratio isn't that impressive either on this tank for a scout. And the first 50 to 100 games, I wasn't having a very good time in this tank. But when I stopped trying to play it like a traditional scout and started playing it more like a kind of a weird hybrid of a scout medium tank destroyer, which is basically a support tank in all roles that has camo rating on the move, I started to enjoy my play in this tank a lot more. Its gun is really punchy. 90mm does 240 alpha damage, which is really respectable. And I use the autoloader on the SP1C. Some players like to use the single shot, which is fine. I think that the autoloader is the better choice, just because of, if nothing else, the map meta. The autoloader, I think, definitely you're able to put out more burst damage and maximize opportunity of shots, where you can get 2 shots, sometimes 3 into a target before they cross from one point of cover to the other, whereas if you were using the single shot, you might only get 1 shot in of damage. But anyway, we're here on Fjords, which is not known for being a scout-friendly map at all. There are a couple positions from each spawn, but it's fairly limited. Fjords is not as bad as some corridor maps like Tundra or Windstorm. Those maps are really painful to play in scouts because basically there isn't hardly any relevant early vision on those maps that other tanks on your team can't do for themselves anyway. But I'm going to go to the stereotypical spot here in E7, which everyone knows, and we'll go from there. Talking about the matchmaking here real quick before we get into position, their top tiers are quite slow actually with their heavies and tank destroyers. The Scorpion, scratch that, Scorpion G is actually a really mobile tank. As you can see, the Scorpion G on my team I'm barely keeping up with here. And they got some mid-tier mobility here, the A44 LTTB, and their low-tier scouts, the 2801 and Chaffee, and they have 2 arties. So they have more alpha type tanks, more armor type tanks, with about a third of their team being mobility based. Something I'm doing here that's really important when you're using this position. I was holding my fire deliberately until those tanks cross. Here, I'll pause the game here. And I'll keep it in sniper view so you guys can see what I'm saying. When you're spotting tanks that are crossing, if you look on the minimap here, when they're crossing from C4, D4, and E4, and they get up here into E5, how you're actually spotting them is this gap right here between this pine tree right here and these deciduous trees and shrubs right here. I'm actually spotting the SU-100Y through this tree, actually, because of my really good view range of this. On my SP1C, I have a really good crew, and I'm using chocolate, so my view range is close, like 485 with coated optics, 485 meters. I might have spotted him like if the camo model is actually clipped off and doesn't accurately represent to the graphical model. But anyway, when you're sitting in the position that I am, how you're spotting the enemy is you see them as they cross into this gap between this pine tree and shrub. And so what I was doing there, while spotting and doing damage at the same time, is that I was waiting for these targets, the LTTB first, and then this A44 that I put in 2 shots in a second later, was that I was waiting for them to cross and get behind this soft cover formation right here, which is a couple of shrubs and a tree. When I go into third person here, there's a solid rock here that once they cross this soft cover here, you won't have any more shots on them, and this ridge here of this mountain crosses here, and you won't be able to shoot them on the left side of the rock either unless they come around right in front of here. So what I was doing is I was waiting for them to cross this gap so I wouldn't get spotted by them as they were crossing. If I shoot them right away while they are in this gap, I'll get spotted. So just holding my fire literally 1 second longer until they're behind this shrub and this tree, and it reduces the likelihood that I'll get spotted, at least by them. I might get spotted by someone else that might be sitting over here, but I probably won't get spotted by them. Spot the Chaffee over there on my right, need to keep that in mind. And there's a T-32 up here, which is a really, really weird position for a T-32 to be in early. Take the early damage that I can if he's going to give me the side of his tank. The T-32 is a really pain in the butt to pen frontally, so I take the easy side armor shot that I can while I have it. Respotting this T-32 here. Hopefully somebody can shoot him. And the Scorpion G on my team puts a really good shot in. And the T-32 very kindly reverses back and gives me a shot into his inside drive wheel, which is a pretty consistent pen for me. Not sure what he was doing there. That's a really, really bad spot to go to early. Some nice symmetry going on here between me and the Scorpion G. We're getting spots and getting damage in on all these tanks that are kind of in the middle of the map. And I decide to move up here. I'll pause the game here for a second. This actually, tactically, is probably a misplay here because we don't have any presence here in this north draw. If you look at the mini-map here, we only have a 5916 here. I think we might have had the Fury up there as well. I wasn't paying attention to the dispersion of my team from this replay here. But regardless, we only have the 5916 up here now, and we know that there's at least an Oni up here, and probably a Chaffee. So me moving up here is pretty risky, but I was wanting to push the tempo on tanks that are sitting here in the middle, and this A44 here, and hurry up and kill out this middle here. Our team are doing a nice job here on the south. It looks like the enemy actually never committed down to the south point, and they're sitting back very conservatively here, which is another indication here that I'm probably being too aggressive into the middle here. But I'm a really aggressive player, and I like to push the tempo of the game. I like to make the battle happen and not let the battle happen to me, as I sometimes put it. And so I get some spots here onto the Hellcat and the Scorpion, and move into cover behind this rock right here. And the Hellcat was going to cross there. Risk taking a shot from him here, which I was willing to do. He basically has the same alpha damage that I do, but I have an autoloader and I can one-clip him. And luckily he misses his shot and I'm able to kill him without taking any damage. Now just waiting here to reload and let my spots to drop here. My Scorpion and the enemy Scorpion exchange shots and do an even trade of damage to one another. Coming up here and helping my tier 6 mediums here expedite the situation and killing this A44 and freeze them up to work up this ramp and flank behind them and kill them. And now I'm in a bit of a dilemma here. I'm not sure what to do because it's quite unusual for the east spawn team to not have anyone in the north. Usually there's 3, 4, sometimes even 5 tanks from the east spawn that consistently go up here in pub matches. Because now I can't really be aggressive into this middle area here because I don't have any of my teammates here to make the enemy look one direction and then the other, almost 90 degrees difference in the angle of looking. So I thought about engaging these guys, took a quick peek to see if they were still there and didn't see them, and I decided to come over here and help my heavies, which is kind of weird because you're not supposed to brawl in SP1C, but gonna try and let my heavies take the shots. Lerva on my team secures the kill on the KB85 there. Kind of a bad shot there. I could have let it aimed a little bit more. The reticle was centered properly, but I wasn't giving quite enough lead and didn't let the bloom shrink in a little bit more. Could have. And I'm actually making another tactical misplay right here. It's always good to try and look for your mistakes as well as your good decisions to reanalyze and help you improve as a player. And the second mistake, major technical mistake I'm making here, is that after I pushed in and spotted the Hellcat and killed him, and then reloaded and came over here and killed the A44 and freed up my mediums that were sitting down here in the bowl, what I should have done is relocate back up here to where the Scorpion was, kind of in this F8 area here. There's a rock and there's a little bit of a slope here to help defend my cap. When you have a decision of whether to attack your cap or defend your cap, there is technically not really a golden rule of always defend or always cap the enemy base. It's very situational, but generally it's always a good idea to try and go back and defend first, because if no other reason than if that's a common thing that people do that more people do than don't, then you will usually end up grouping up with your teammates and being able to counter push them. But it all depends on the situation. But in this particular situation, I'm making a bad decision because I'm basically leaving my Scorpion G out on an island. He does have some RD support and this IKV-65, but he's only a tier 6 tank destroyer. And the Scorpion, especially when he traded damage with the enemy Scorpion earlier, he doesn't have a lot of HP to play with, and if this Oni here is using the derp gun, which they often do, he can easily one-shot the Scorpion, as well as the VK2801 if he's using the derp gun as well. So making a really bad misplay here, actually. I should have gone back to relocated back here to help my Scorpion and my Artie defend our base from being capped. Spot the SU-100Y there, who came back to defend his cap. And it looks like there's a bot IS-6 here sitting in the cap circle. I don't want to peek around and do this on the right side of the building with the SU-100Y because I can't really side scrape with the 100Y because he's sitting. I don't know if I still have free cam on this client. Let me check here. Oh, good, I do. Alright, so when you're side scraping with a tank, the most beneficial time, or I should say the most benefit that you get out of side scraping in certain situations is when look at the direction of the hull of the enemy tank, and especially where their turret or their gun is mounted. I don't want to side scrape with the SU-100Y because look at how his tank is positioned with how I have to side scrape. It's directly parallel to me, right? So when I'm side scraping, I'm basically giving him a shot on me as soon as I have a shot on him, and I don't want that to happen, especially with his big, punchy, high alpha gun. Whereas with this IS-6 here, when you're side scraping, I can shoot the back end of him before he's able to shoot me because he has a front-mounted turret. And so I have a shot basically on the back third of him while I'm side scraping here around the left side of this building. Once again, kind of lame shooting a bot IS-6, but because I made the bad decision and I'm over here, I might as well try and make the best of my bad decision and help kill these guys quick. Just keeping my head down here, letting my Lerva and VK push up and engage that SU as I know they have armor. And we get an engine fire here on this IS-6. Fortunately only track him there with our second shot. And the VK secures the kill there, which is, you know, it is what it is. It's a bot IS-6. So some kind of lame bot damage there, but it is what it is. And fortunately, despite my bad tactical play, my team have been able to defend rather well. They were able to defend the middle from the enemy Scorpion that moved up here, and they were able to doing a nice job defending against the Oni and the 2801. Spot the FE304 here. His shell trajectory actually looked like it was going to hit me, but I think it hit some destructible cover there, and the cover ate his HE shell. So lucky for me there. And now it's just cleanup time, trying to find the last artillery piece. So I wanted to show you guys this game here today kind of for two main reasons. One is I don't show a lot of gameplay on corridor maps, and I don't show a lot of gameplay from Fjords. And second, I wanted to show this gameplay to show you that despite the statistical good outcome of this game, I made a lot of bad decisions in this game and wanted to point them out. And show you that the stats and the good decision making don't always coincide. And after I looked here in A5 and A6 for the Lorraine and saw that he wasn't there, I had a suspicion that he was up here in the north. I figured that we would have spotted him here if he was sitting on this back island strip back here in B1, B2 area, or maybe the C1. I'm not sure how much passable terrain that is there, but in any case, back here on this northwest corner, because we're really close to him, and there isn't a lot of hard or soft cover back here. So yeah, I had a suspicion that he was up here and drove around the corner. Luckily, he was pre-aimed and ready to shotgun anyone who came around the corner, but luckily, my velocity coming across this corner, and his slow reaction time on his trigger, kept me from getting shotgun here, which was nice. And I'm able to wrap up the game and secure the kill. But yeah, like I said before, always be looking for potential improvement that you can do in your battle decisions, despite your statistics. Of course, if you're making the right fundamental decisions on a more consistent basis, then you'll be having better statistical results overall on average. But it's not necessarily an automatic correlation. Sometimes you can have really good statistical results where basically it wasn't so much down to you making really, really good decisions, it was more down to the enemy team making bad decisions. And it kind of goes back to that axiom that someone likes to say of, if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid, which I've said before on my channel I completely disagree with. If it's stupid but it works, it's still stupid, and the opponent would just happen to be more stupid than you, which is basically a really bad philosophy, because it comes down to relying on your luck for your success, and I'd rather rely on technique and my experience to get more consistent results. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed watching this game here on Fjords. Wish you guys the best of luck out there on this map. Good hunting and take care.